From the wide releases of games this month, I decided to dip my hands into the experience of the new RPG, Asterigos, Curse of the Stars. This game is set in a universe full of exploration and challenges that keep players a fan of games like Dark Souls or God of War 2018 entertained. Now, I've spent some time playing the game and immersing myself into its world. You can also see me play the game on my second channel, as that's now where I'll live stream all the games I want to play and talk about on videos. You can click the link in the description or just search Young Johnny in the search bar if you have a phobia of clicking links. Over here we don't judge. Now, I've only unraveled a part of its vast story, so today's video won't be a full review on the game and its story. I usually don't do that on these videos anyway. I'm going to give you all more of an overview of the story and discuss what I like and dislike about the gameplay. As mentioned before, this game takes inspiration from Dark Souls-like games, but does it have enough to differentiate itself greatly from these predecessors, or is it just another clone? Well, we're gonna find out today in our deep dive in the newly released Asterigos. Asterigos was released October 11th of this month for both current and last generation of consoles and on Windows PCs. This game was published by Tiny Build Games, a pretty notable indie publisher, responsible for games like Spider-Heck or Hello Neighbor and The Bookwalker. In this game, you play as the young warrior Hilda, who is searching for her lost father in the mythical city of Aphis. Along the way, she encounters characters that assist her in the journey and the expected enemies. In her adventure, she discovers the city's secrets and is faced with decisions that will change the course of history forever. Now, story-wise, I think that the game is pretty interesting. Yeah, it's nothing I haven't heard before, but it's definitely a story that is set up to keep the player invested as you meet the characters in your search and discover more and more about the city. I think the game does a good job with that, as usually these types of games story is usually overlooked and disregarded. Hilda as a character is about as much as you'd expect from a young girl in a lighthearted game like this. Just think of a cartoon that has the same plot as the game and you'll have a pretty good idea of how Hilda is. There's nothing groundbreaking or original about the character that makes you go, wow, that's Hilda, which I think could have definitely been built upon in the game. But enough on the characters, let's take a look at the gameplay. Traversing through the city of Aphis flaunts its beauty and originality. You can obviously see the heart and effort put into the game setting, as everything looks detailed and each area looks unique. It's not just using the same buildings and areas copied and pasted everywhere. Now, personally, I'm more of a fan of the outdoor nature designs in the game, but the indoor areas you go through are nice too. You will be greeted with many types of enemies throughout your adventure, with over 60 different enemy types and 22 bosses in the main story. The enemies are as tedious as you'd expect in a hack and slash game. You have enemies that rank from, being a grunt all the way to being the big Groot and skilled. It's best to pick them off one by one, as it's really easy to get outnumbered and cornered into multiple attacks. Based on the boss, the game plan is usually to let them do their attack and then you launch yours after they miss or get stunned, until they die. Of course though, it is more intense than how I'm explaining it. These guys definitely have insane hit range, but it's pretty straightforward nevertheless. The enemies obviously get more difficult as you progress, but how well you do against them is based on your combat skills, which is a perfect transition into talking about the combat. You have 6 default weapons to choose from in the entire game, including a sword and a shield, daggers, a spear, hammer, staff, or bracelets. Each weapon has their own pros and cons and can be upgraded throughout the game. You can unlock upgrade points to increase stats like attack damage or health. You can also use points to unlock new moves through the skill tree, basic combat stuff. But the combat itself is pretty solid to learn. You have about 3 different attack buttons. And you also are given up to 4 special combos that you can use but have a cooldown timer each time that you do. There's nothing crazy hard about the combat, but for those that are new to these kind of games, it might take some time to master it and keep yourself from spamming the attack button. And like the combat, that's really the best that I can describe the overall game. Good, but nothing substantial about it that makes it amazing. Everything fundamental about the game is just done right. But in my opinion, in order for a game to take that next step, it has to do these things above and beyond, which I can honestly say that this game hasn't done. By all means though, I strongly recommend this title. This doesn't make the game boring or bad. I found it extremely fun, but when I judge a game on these videos, I try to speak to the majority of gamers, and well, the majority have played a title similar to this and would maybe even say better than this. And that's Asterigos for me, man. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. How do you feel about Asterigos? Feel free to leave a comment down below. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one.